One Sunday morning, I caught a familiar scent on the breeze. It was one of those spring days before temperature reached that summer sweat heat. I took a deep breath of that familiar scent and mused, "Smells like rain." As a new pastor in a small town in the Show Me State, I was still in that early phase of proving my level of trustworthiness. Someone standing near me let out a disapproving snort as he said, "You can't smell rain." Within 15 minutes, it began to rain. Not the normal torrent, but a gentle rain, very familiar to those of us with a lot of experience in Western Oregon. I guess the young preacher from out of town could show him something after all. By the way, we developed a close relationship in our time together. He was a breath of fresh air to that congregation. I was in that pastorate so I could work on my master's degree. At the seminary, we had a practice professor who had less real-world experience than I did, and he was no longer in pastoral ministry for a reason. At that point, I had been refining my craft for about 10 years, and I had learned something about what worked and some things that didn't work. One thing I knew was that if I wrote a sermon that excelled academically, it would not preach in the real world. People in the real world want to engage with someone who has struggled with the issues that they both have in common. They really don't care much about tired theological arguments from the 16th century. This is one reason why Jesus told relatable stories with an understandable outcome. He came as one who walked among us, discipling as he went. Part of that process is based on the principle coined by John Maxwell. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We learn best when we learn on the job, and we listen most fully to those who are successful in areas we want to explore. That's why we have choices to make every day. We can hide our past from public view, or we can leverage it to help others. Have you ever wondered why Jesus chose ordinary people as his disciples rather than the academics of his day? These biblical figures and their failures are clearly laid out for the entire world to see, failures we each encounter in living today. When Paul openly admitted his failures to those he addressed, he was then able to express his divine mission as well. The one who called him spoke this way. Then he said, "The God of our ancestors has chosen you to know his will and to see the righteous one and to hear words from his mouth. You will be his witness to all people of what you have seen and heard." That's found in Acts chapter 22, verses 14 through 15. We're not asked to argue theology or doctrine. We're directed to be witnesses of what we have seen and heard. We alone are the experts about our experiences. We understand our successes and we understand our failures if we've accepted them realistically and we have learned from them. Have you noticed that our world could care less about what we believe? They want to know the path they're engaged in. So I encourage you to be open about all your past so it can be helpful to those in the present. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.